Hey, my name is Chad. This video, I kind of want to shift it up a little bit and talk about how to still get out to the range in this time of year. So we just had, time change a couple weeks ago. I really dislike this part of the year. Most of my day is usually spent working or doing things out and about, and typically by the time I get at least enough stuff that I can comfortably let myself get away from town and come out here to my range, it's later in the evenings, almost always. So unless I'm going to a match, which is kind of a scheduled, planned event, I don't make it out here to get my shooting practice, filming, everything done until later in the evenings. So obviously when the time changes, I lose several hours at the end of the day. So like in the summer, it'll be light out here past 9 o'clock some nights, and now it is 5:30 p.m. and we're already past sunset. So before I'm even starting this video, sunset has already happened. But what I have found the last couple of years of doing this, especially getting into the more precision rifle stuff, is that sometimes I've got to get things done and I just don't have any other time to do it, so I've got to come out here in the dark. One thing that kind of helped me get to where I'm able to at least test ammo and check zero, not probably the best zero checking that I can do, or group shooting, but it gets me close enough to know if I've got any drastic problems and I need to reevaluate something, especially right before a match. But what I started doing is just using a flashlight. Like typically, I'll keep one of these little Olight arc felds. This is one, I think, of the original version. So, just has a laser pointer and then a basic little flashlight on the end. And a little laser pointer. Useless for the laser pointer. It's interesting for the cat. But typically what I'll do is I'll just go down and I would lay this on a stick or something and angle it up towards the target and hope that it lit up enough and was bright enough to where when I got out at 100 yards, I could see it well enough. That worked okay. Then I started getting some little things like this from Harbor Freight, and they work all right. Just got little LEDs. Bad part about this, I like that it is movable and it's magnetic, probably better for a workshop, but it runs on looks like AA batteries. So having to change these out is kind of a pain, and they really don't have as long a life as you would want them to. But this gives a decent bit of throw to fill a decent area width-wise, but it doesn't do a lot for distance. So these have to be pretty close up to the targets. At this point, I usually only use this for around the truck to light up a little area when I'm putting things away. Also picked up something like this from Harbor Freight, and this is going to be a good example of why I'm kind of getting away from this type of light. But it just pulls up and it's a little lantern, really bright, but also runs on AA batteries. And apparently last week when I was checking my zero before the match, it decided to go kaput. So I need to change those batteries, and I don't have any in my truck. So we're kind of out of luck on showing what this is, but for what it is, being a cheap Harbor Freight light, it's actually pretty decent, just not very useful out there. So you cannot control any of the angle of it. So if I was to put this down at the target, it would light up the target really well, but it would also be shining the light back towards me, and I would have light coming into my eye. Not good for trying to see well. So you really want something where you don't have light coming back at you, but only facing towards the target. So this is out for that, but it's good for using around the truck and packing things up or getting things pulled out if it's dark when I get out here. But it needs batteries, so that one's out. One thing I picked up last year is this little thing here, and this is from a company that I actually sell their products of at my shop. So it's a company called Risk Racing, and they make some cool dirt bike stands and like tie down things for transporting your bike. So like wheel chocks and fuel jug carriers, just some pretty cool things that they cut out of metal and aluminum and all kinds of fun stuff, but they came out with a light line and they've got some really cool things. I picked up a couple extras because this did really well for me. The cool thing about this is you've got a front top light and then like a lantern on the bottom. So this can be used as a lantern facing down, out forward and down below, red colored, flashing, multicolored, and then back to just the straight out the top. So typically I just use it in lantern mode. It also comes with this tripod, which is like a friction fit. So like each of these sections just friction onto each other. So here, each of these joints, they just pull up and then they'll friction into the next joint. Okay, you see right here we've got the joint, so it just pulls up and then friction fits into it, and that joint is good. Then you pull up to the next one, just put tension on it, and by the time it's all said and done, you've got a light that is farther up in the sky. So the benefit of this, obviously you've got a higher light, so it's going to put out more of a flood pattern. This is really good for like a camp spot or around here. Instead of having to use a couple of these littler lights like I showed earlier, this will be able to just have one central light and light up a large area. It also comes with a remote control, so it magnetically fits onto the bottom, but with the remote control you can control the dimming functions. And we'll show these off more once it gets darker out, but you can lighten and darken by control and change to different color lights and cycle through all the functions that it has. So it's pretty cool. That's the other one jumping off. That one's coming up next. Interesting. So they will link together. Okay, you can probably tell a big light just popped up over there. I got a new one from this company that also has the same remote control, and apparently they'll link together. Okay, now the one thing that I don't really like so much about this is the tripod. Now it is cool that you can set it up and it's got like a ball head on it, so you can adjust the angle of it, but it is very difficult to get it into a stable position. So most of the time, if you're in a solid area, you can mount this up and it's going to be okay. Once it gets all the way high, the wind will catch it and it's easy to blow over because it's hard to get stable. It does come with some pull-out stakes that are built into it, so you can stake it into the ground. Most of the time here in Oklahoma, the ground is so hard that getting these little plastic stakes into the ground is more trouble than it's worth. So if it's really windy, I just won't have this at the full height, or I'll use like one of my shooting bags as a sandbag base and set it so when the wind blows it, it doesn't get knocked over. But the tripod on this is fairly flimsy for heavy duty applications. That's the downside to this one. But overall, it's a little more functional because you can pop that off and use it as a handheld flashlight and leave the tripod behind if you're going out in the woods. You've got a handheld light that is really putting out some good lumens, and this one is just overall a very handy one to have around. Okay, so I've had that one for a little bit and it's been really great. It is, like I said, excellent for lighting up all the space around me, and if I need to use it down at the target, I can just go set it up, use it as a regular flashlight, shine it at the target, and we're good. I was looking at their website and noticed they have several others that look very handy, so using the benefits of my job, I was able to get a couple to try out at a little bit of a discount. Not much, but enough to make it worthwhile to show these off, because getting into this time of year is just really frustrating when you try to do all the responsibilities you have through the day and you want to get out and shoot at night, but it gets dark on you. So I'm way out in the middle of nowhere. No way I can get electricity out here to string up some floodlights or anything like that. So we got to make do with what I've got access to. And these are pretty handy. So to solve the problem of the tripod, I found this light here. Now this is, they call it their work light. As you can see, you've got 3 arms here. It does come off from the tripod. And let's take a look at just the light first. So you can see I've got it spread out here. You can twist each of these arms and they will come locked down into closed position. Okay, and then you can take each one out and they'll twist, so you can adjust the angle there, and then you've got up and down angle. So like if I want to illuminate my target now, I can set this up and boom, I've got a good floodlight going right at the target. And let's shine this away, but you can see this is definitely putting out a lot more light. Like this one is super bright. This one only has pretty much two functions, bright light and then a more white color light. So this one's a white tint to it, and then there's like an orange hue. So white or orange, that's the only like alternations that you have between modes on here. You can close it off and use just one arm. I found that I can run it as like a handheld, but it definitely puts out a lot of light in a small package. Another thing that's kind of cool, it does have a magnetic base, and then you've got a hook that'll come out. So if you want to use it as a work light, you can hang it up high, like under the hood of a truck or something, and then hang the light down, angle it wherever you need, and you've got a lot of options for how to use this one. So I think this one is going to be probably the most used and most effective one this coming year. The other benefit is this tripod. So it is a shorter tripod. I'm gonna say it's only about half my height, maybe a 3-foot height on it, but it is a much thicker, sturdier pole, and you got two lock heights on it. So there and there. So you can get it down to that size. And once it pops up, you want to lock it in, but that's the tripod collapsed. It does have a lock on the bottom, so the legs don't come flying off, but once you hit that release on it, they will loosen up and stretch out. But you do have a really, really wide, solid base tripod here. Only downside is it's not super high, so you can't use it as much of a area floodlight, but it'll get plenty high for doing work on things. And target height, perfect. And then I saw this one. This one they call their FLIR Overlander. As you can probably tell, it is a beast. At the top here, we've got a jumbo-sized version of the first one I showed you, where you've got a lantern type light at the bottom, and then a really, really beefy tripod here. So let me get this all the way down. Now this is the tripod body. This thing is huge. You've got locking legs. Okay, so you've got locking legs. You need to get it loosened up, and then you can close it in. It does snap into the body or back onto the leg itself, so it stays fairly compact. What is cool about this one, as in the smaller one, the remote control magnetically stores on the base, but what they did is put the battery pack here on the bottom. So this functions as the battery for the light, obviously, but it also is an output, so you can use this as a battery bank and run another light or just charge your phone. Whatever you need a battery bank for, this does output and has a much larger, heavier battery, so you got a lot of weight at the bottom. You can pull these legs out, slide it down, and lock down the legs, and you've got a very sturdy, very stable base. So I don't think I'm going to have any problems with this in the wind, but you can tell just how big around this thing is. So this is a very large, very sturdy light, and then it's the same kind of thing as the small one. There's pressure fittings on each section, but this one I believe goes up to 10 feet high. Okay, so it's way up there. I'm just gonna squat down and hit the button here. But you can see it lit up a lot of space here. So this is definitely gonna be good for lighting up a huge area. We're actually gonna test this out here. I brought my pistols out today, so we're gonna run a little bit of 22 action and just see if I can hit some targets in the dark running off of a light like this. Okay, I'm back away from it just to get an idea. So you can see how high my rifle was from where I was standing next to it. And then you can see the output of that light there at the top of the screen. So it definitely gets up high, and you can see around here how big of an area it's lighting up. So I should be able to set it up kind of in the middle there and run through some of those targets. I really haven't done anything pistol in a long time, so this might be totally embarrassing. Okay, one other one I picked up is this little floodlight. So you've got a couple hooks where you could hang it on the wall, but the thing I like about this is it's metal frame and the frame is built into it. So this one is more than likely what I'll end up using for some of my targets as well. I can set it on the ground and then angle it wherever I need to at the targets. It's got a wide flood and then slide this lens down, and they call it a focus flood. We'll see how it is. I was playing with it a good bit and might have run the battery down, but let's see. Okay, so you can tell that is definitely putting out a lot of light right here. So I don't know if I'll be able to tell much of a difference between focus flood and wide flood. As you can see, I got that light. It is way up here. And I did forget one thing. So now that it's light's gone down a little bit, I can show you a little better. So these lights are dimmable. So it'll go down to its lowest setting, which is right there. It'll flash at the low point. And then, boom, back up to the highest. So it's really cool being able to control this from a little handheld remote control that you can keep in your pocket if you're going to be away from it. Okay, so I haven't shot this TX22 in quite a long time. I haven't cleaned it, I don't think, ever since I got it. So we'll see what happens here. I don't know. Find out here. Huh. Oh, had a not ejection there. Okay, here we go. Okay, I can kind of see that target over there. I can see this white one back here a little bit better, but it's a good bit of ways. Nope. Nope. Let's see here. Now there we go. I was aiming a little high. Cool. The pistol skills are definitely not what they used to be, so I need to get out and do more pistol work. But I'm able to see all the close targets. We'll go back and take a better look at how good the flood is on this one and compare it to some of these others. So here we are a little ways away. You can see that lights up a pretty good swath. You can definitely see the line kind of where it falls off. But for a range area like this, it definitely gives me plenty of light. I could probably bring it a little closer here and have a little more lit up where I'm standing and still have the targets light enough to see those. So let's look at a different one. So we're going to try this with the remote control. I'm going to try to turn the other one on. There we go. Okay, so you can see the lower light there. So that's how high the other one goes. Obviously they're both lit up, so they're kind of powering at it here. I'm going to go manually just turn off the big tall one so you can get an idea of the size of the smaller one here. Okay, so that's what you can see with this one. So it still lights up a pretty good area. Between the two of them, I could put one on one end, one on another end, and you can have a very large area lit up. So now I've got two lit up. This one right here, the smaller one, and then the bigger one over here. So you can tell between the two of these, got a pretty good functional area going on here. So then this guy here, so we can go on with that. Let me try to turn these other two off. So with those other two off, you can see that this one puts out definitely more of an orange tint. or you can change it to more of a white tint. But the cool thing about this, obviously you can tell it lit up a lot there. I can even angle to the sides and get more broad of a throw here. So going with something like that, you can see how it'll light up quite a bit out here to the edge, all through here, and all around there. So this one is just cool because of all the extra functionality and ways that you can adjust the angles on this. Hey, if you're the kind of person that's not going to let something like getting dark too early slow you down from what you want to do outside, go ahead and get subscribed right down here. I'm going to be using these lights and trying to get even more testing and shooting done over the winter. As long as my hands can stand it, I'm going to be out here. Hopefully we don't get too much snow, but it's going to happen. So we'll be out here as much as possible, and we've got some cool lights to make this even better for when I do have to get out here. If you do have any questions about any of these lights, please let me know. I can get some of these. I can even drop ship them to most of the places around the country, but they are not cheap, but they are very effective at what they do, and they seem to be working really good for lighting up a large area. So this is my first time to really get them out and test them, and I'm pretty impressed with the amount of space I'm able to see below me. So we're going to use them and get loaded up, and then we'll take a look at 500 yards. So we are out here at 500 yards. I've got that little adjustable head LED light shining on some targets down there just to show you that it is legitimately dark. I'm going to try and turn off this light I've got here next to me. Okay, so we are going to go no lights. As you can see, it is quite dark. There is the light from my microphone, but other than that, it is pitch black out here. So I just want you to see it is legitimately night. I don't think the moon is out. I take that back. There's a little bit of moon sliver back there. Hey, you can kind of see it. But got maybe an 8th moon. So just starting to peek its head out, but definitely not enough to have light out to shoot from. So let's see if I can possibly show you what I see when I'm looking through this scope. This is going to be tricky. So just a little bit, holding this up and getting the right angle through the eyepiece is particularly tricky, but you can see the targets down there. I'll have to pause this and try to show it off a little better. Okay, so obviously this is very tricky to do. You can kind of see targets there, and every time I take a breath I'm losing it. But okay, that was excessively tricky, but I'll try to capture a little bit. It is definitely easier to do when I'm actually on the rifle myself and looking through it. I was trying to handheld and get the camera lined up with everything just right, and it is definitely tough to do. But just looking through the scope here, I can see all my targets just fine. What I have found I have to do is turn on my illumination on my reticle. Probably should have done that so you could see just a little bit better, but that at least lets me see the lines and have a little better idea of where I'm needing to aim. So hard to get this lined up just right, but it's way brighter on here. Crazy. But I just want to show off a few of the cool lights that I've got. I showed off all the bags and stuff a couple year or so ago, and I don't have quite as many flashlights, but I do have quite a few, and they all serve different functions. And always, every day, I have at least one flashlight on me, typically 2 to 3, and you can never go wrong having flashlights and knives. You're going to need those a lot more often than anything else that we talk about on this channel. So always be prepared with a good flashlight. If you're getting out and about into wider open areas, look into lights like these. Like I said, they're from Risk Racing. It's their Striker line. of LED lights. They've got just some really cool ideas, and it's neat to see people doing things that are not just the standard handheld flashlight, weapon mounted lights, things like that. So those are good and they have their purpose, but sometimes you need something a little more specialized and broad range. And that's what I think these are going to be good for. Well, I'm going to get loaded up and get back to the house. I'm actually getting hungry for once. So I'm gaining a few pounds this winter. We're going to try and have a little more arm strength going into the spring and into the next season of the PRS. And hopefully, with everything else we're changing up and making fine-tuning adjustments on, everything's going to go good. At least better this season than my first attempt at a season. Do let me know if you got any questions or want to see anything else about these lights. I think I covered all the main features of them, but you're going to notice them in some of the upcoming videos, and I want to just show them off while it was wet and rainy and I couldn't do my other ideas. So stay tuned. I got some other cool ideas coming, and one of them is going to be really neat. If I can pull it off, we're going to try Texas Star at 500 yards, see if I can make that happen. That's going to be a challenge. Thank you very much for hanging out with me for a few minutes and taking a look at some pretty cool LED flashlights. So I hope you have a great rest of your day and a wonderful weekend. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye.